Hi, my name's Emma and let's talk spooky stuff. Hi guys, welcome back. A little while ago, we talked about the possibility of doing a list on religious horror movies. You guys were so excited about this and totally on board, but when I finally sat down to map out all of the movies I wanted to include, I realized how many aspects this covers, because we're not just talking about Christianity. And then of course, because it's a horror movie, it's not really all about God, it's also about the devil, so you have that aspect. Religion in horror can be split into such themes as exorcism, cults, which I already have a list for, devil worship, possession, and just plain religious extremists. And then there's the argument for possession, because not all possession has to be demonic. In fact, some of the best possession films are that way because their entity is a mystery. So today we're going to focus on just that, possession, and I'm going to talk about all different types of possession, and make sure you subscribe because in a following video I will be talking about the different aspects of religion that we didn't cover today. But before we get in too deep, I do want to thank today's sponsor, and this video is sponsored by Skillshare. Because of Skillshare, this video is mid-roll ad-free, so thank you Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community for creatives. They offer thousands of inspiring classes on topics like photography, video, and even creative essays. I have actually used Skillshare for years, and the photography classes by Tabitha Parks have inspired me to change my Instagram feed from looking like this to looking like this. She does so well at explaining the complexities of photography and styling in a very straightforward way, and I recommend her class, Find Your Photography Style, if you're looking to get creative with your feed as well. And the first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the down bar, just down here, click that link and you'll get a 2-month free trial of the premium membership. Thank you again to Skillshare, and thank you for keeping this video ad-free. Now let's get into it, guys. Let's start this list. Remember, we're just talking about possession today, and if I don't name one of your favorite possession films, please let me know down in the comments because I'd love to check it out. And let's start with some hidden gems. I think that's a great place to start. This list is in no order, but let's start with May the Devil Take You. Available in most countries on Netflix, May the Devil Take You is a 2018 Indonesian horror movie about Elfie, a woman who was estranged from her father and stepfamily, and who is forced to reunite with them after her father grows sick. But when the family meets up in his old villa, they discover his dark, powerful secret. The possession is the best aspect of this film, and it goes all the way. I will say other parts of the film do feel a little bit cheesy, but the possession aspect takes it to another level. If you're looking for full-on gore and terrifying possession scenes, this is your film. The next film I've talked about a couple of times, this is Luz or Luz, and this is one of my favorite hidden gems of last year. This German film is not your typical horror movie. In fact, it's an oddly structured film that is very hit or miss with audiences. But the film makes the list because it is highly original and unique when it comes to its representation of possession. The film is about a cab driver who is possessed by a demonic entity longing to become one with the woman it loves. The next film I want to talk about I rewatched recently, and I'm so surprised and shocked I didn't love this film the first time, or I forgot about it. It may be because it's very well known for a that scene moment, but the rest of it is still pure gold, and it's The Taking of Deborah Logan. As I said, so many people are aware of this film because of that scene, but the build-up and the tension of the film are still really strong. This is a found footage about a film crew that are interested in documenting a woman's struggle with dementia for educational purposes, but they never expected what they would capture when Deborah shows signs of possession. You can't make a list about possession without talking about the most famous possession in cinematic history. Needs no introduction, although I'm going to introduce it. It's The Exorcist. There is a reason that this is one of the most, if not the most iconic horror film of all time. The Exorcist is about Reagan, a 12-year-old girl who is possessed by a demonic entity. The film won 2 Oscars and is considered Warner Brothers' highest grossing film of all time when adjusted for inflation. The next film I am a huge fan of, but others not so much, but I still had to put it on this list, and if you haven't seen it, Please check it out and let me know what you think. It's The Last Exorcism. This film really keeps you on your toes until the final moment. The film is about a troubled religious girl who is growing up in a small town. A film crew follows an evangelical minister who attempts to prepare her for an exorcism. The next film is another hidden gem, and let me tell you, it's a good one. Demon is a Polish film that I've spoken about before, and it's a clever spin on the legend of the Dybbuk. Demon follows a couple on their wedding night who are torn apart by the groom's possession of a dark spirit. This one is very slow, but it is stirring and it's 100% unique. The next one is Dark. Australian director Sean Byrne, known for The Loved Ones, returned in 2015 to direct Devil's Candy. The film is gritty, dark, and above all, visually brilliant. It follows a painter who is possessed by satanic forces. If you haven't watched this one, you're really missing out. Throwback time. Guys, did you think I'd forget? We're talking about possession. We're talking about all possession, all of you. It's Idle Hands. This cult classic 90s comedy horror is about a teenager who wakes up on Halloween morning to discover that his right hand has become possessed and its only objective is murder. I don't know about you guys, but I watched that film so much as a teenager. Standards were very different back then. Next, let's get classic and talk about this hidden gem from the 70s. This is The Possession of Joel Danley. The film is about a slow descent into desperation for a woman who is confused by her brother's erratic behavior. The film is a horror mystery that is both shocking and alluring. Sadly, this film does not get the attention it deserves, but this could be because it never goes full horror. But this results in a more realistic film, in my opinion. If you have a love for 70s horror, make sure to check this one out. I haven't added any sequels in this list. If you watched The Last Exorcism and you like it, check out The Last Exorcism 2. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I didn't want to just put sequels in here. It's a list of 20. I wanted to put some good stuff. But the next film is actually a prequel. And I'm not going to talk about the original in this list because OUIJA, The Origin of Evil, is so much better than the first one. This is a prequel to OUIJA, but in my eyes, it is a great standalone film and much better than the first. Directed by Mike Flanagan, the film stars our new favorite final girl, Lulu Wilson. And quickly, as a bonus, Lulu Wilson was actually in another possession film. She was in Deliver Us from Evil from 2014, which is a cop possession film starring Eric Bana. I definitely recommend checking that one out too, but back to this one. The film is set in the late 60s and follows a girl who attempts to contact her late father via a Ouija board, but is unknowingly intercepted by a mysterious and ominous presence. Another unconventional entry for the possession films is The Blackcoat'S Daughter, also known as February. This is a strange, sinister tale by Oz Perkins. The film is about two girls that battle a darkness that lingers in their boarding school. This one isn't for everyone, and for me personally, I needed to watch it a couple of times to really understand what was going on. But if you're looking for something unique and uncomfortable, definitely add this to your watch list. Talking about uncomfortable, let's talk about the most terrifying possession film I've ever seen, and it's not The Exorcist, and it's something that's newer actually. Well, I mean, not too new, but this film absolutely terrified me. Keeps me up at night every time I think of her face. It could be because it's based on a true story. Have you guys guessed yet? It's The Exorcism of Emily Rose. I don't know why this film messes me up so much, but it still does to this day. Something about this film just gives me the creeps. The loss of control is terrifying, but as I said, it could be because it's based on a true story. The film is about a lawyer who takes on a homicide case involving a priest and a sick woman. This film really outweighs anything else in being terrifying, and hats off to the actors. One of the most infamous cases of possession is the story of the Amityville Horror. Whether you believe it or not, it's a violent story that is bound to stick with you. The story is about a family that move into a home with a horrific past. First, the house shows signs of possession, but then George, the father, begins to change. And yes, I do like the remake. And while we're at violent places possessing the human form, we might as well add in The Shining, a film about Jack, Wendy, and their son Danny, who move into an isolated hotel to take care of it during winter. But its traumatic history takes hold of Jack, Losing his mind, he becomes possessed by the voices and turns on his family. One of the most memorable possessions of all time in horror is The Evil Dead. The film is about 5 friends who travel to the woods where they release a demonic power that possesses them one by one. It's an action-packed horror that takes possession to a whole new level. The next film is another hidden gem. Mexican film Here Comes the Devil took me a while to warm up to. It's a chilling, slow burn about a married couple who lose their children on a family vacation. But when the children finally return, they come back as something else. Did you guys really think I was gonna do a list about possession and not talk about possession from 1981? Come on. Do I look like a fool? Don't answer that. How could I not talk about this film with one of the most dramatic subway scenes of all time? Actually, this is probably one of the most dramatic external possession scenes ever. How often do you see them outside of the home acting this way? Possession is about a woman who starts to lose control of her body and her mind after asking her husband for a divorce. I should mention that Possession is unlike any other film on this list. Some people say this film is too smart for its own good, but it is completely terrifying, metaphorical, and a great watch. The next one is a little bit cheesy, but hear me out, it's good for a Sunday night easy watch, and that's Devil. I'm a fan of horror mystery thriller Devil because of its whodunit aspect. This one is a different type of possession because there's no struggle, there's no turning. Someone has already been taken, but who? The film is about 5 people who are trapped in an elevator, but one is not who they appear to be. The next one is a drama horror with a pretty compelling story. The Ride is about Michael, a skeptic man who travels to Italy to partake in an exorcism course. Do I have your attention? What a one-liner. Once he is there, he is confronted head-on with several possession cases. But are they seeking guidance, or is this the real thing? Can you believe it? We're already at number 20. I wonder how many you've jotted down so far. I'm gonna end on a classic one that has a subtle little taste of possession, and that is Burnt Offerings. As I said, this is a subtle yet haunting example of possession. This 70s film is about a small family that moves into a large home for the summer, but they get more than they bargained for when the house influences them to do things out of character. Before you say anything, yes, I did leave a large one off this list. I'm trying not to wink, not to nudge, not to make it obvious, but I left that film that I love, that some of you guys love and some of you guys don't love, off this list because I'm trying to think of a way I can tell you without telling you, because I just didn't want to ruin it just in case people haven't seen it. It's a newer horror movie and I feel like that's more to do with the reveal, so I didn't want to put it in this list. I'm very into the vagueness, if you didn't know. I don't like giving anything away. I want you to be able to feel like this is a safe haven unless I put spoiler in the title. You guys know you can come here and I'm not going to spoil a film for you out of the blue because I would hate to spoil that film for anyone. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I want to thank you guys so much for being here. If there is a movie that I didn't include that you love, please let me know down below. I did watch a lot of them and some of them just didn't make the cut, but I would love to know if you have a favorite one and I haven't seen it, so just leave it down below and I'll sort it out later. Thank you guys so much for being here. We're now at 60K. Can you believe it? I love you guys so much and I'm so grateful. And thanks again to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. I'll talk to you guys very soon. Stay spooky. Bye.